Big man. Good night to St. James North. Good night to Sion Hill, Upper Carrollton. There are people here from Bakers. There are people, yeah, I hear the people from Bakers. Some of them went to school with me at Black Bess. Yes. People here from Westmoreland. But good night to all of the good people of St. James North. The MC just now told you that he went through the dictionary and saw a lot of D words. I gotta tell you that in the dictionary, there are a number of good D words. But the problem with the Dems is that none of the good D words apply to them. The good D words are Labour Party words. Chad Blackman is diligent. There ain't a Dem in the leadership who is diligent. Chad Blackman is dependable. There ain't a Dem in the leadership of that pressure group that is dependable. Tonight we have come to share with you that you have a choice on May the 21st. Now, I mentioned the date even though you already know the date. I mentioned the date because I was canvassing in Ashton Hall a few days ago. And I went to a house. The gentleman had recently come back from England. I introduced myself. I told him I was canvassing on behalf of the Barbados Labour Party candidate, Chad Blackman. I asked him for the vote for Chad Blackman. I explained who Chad Blackman was. I told him he needed to go out and vote in the by-election of May 21st. And the man looked at me and asked me if there is a by-election on May the 21st. He said to me that the other people came to him a couple of days before asking for a vote and never told him that there was a by-election. They never told the man that he was supposed to vote on May the 21st. I saw that as an indication of the kind of party or pressure group that the Democratic Labour Party has become. They do not even know how to tell people when the election is. That is the Democratic Labour Party. That is what the party has disintegrated into. But Chad Blackman comes to you as part of an organization that has proven itself and that intends to continue to prove itself as worthy of your support, worthy of your confidence, worthy to have you come with us on the journey of developing this country. I've known Chad Blackman for a few years, and I have to tell you this. I really have to tell you this. Lisa just spoke about Chad as an ambassador, Chad at the ILO. I have had, and I say this all the time, not the opportunity, but I have had the privilege to work with Chad Blackman. I spend a couple of weeks every year in Geneva at the International Labour Organization. And ladies and gentlemen of St. James North, Chad Blackman has distinguished himself. And this ain't nothing that nobody tell me. This is what I have witnessed myself in the halls of these international organizations in Geneva. I have gone to the ILO. And you know that even now, I was there in March. And in March, it seems as though as soon as you land, people asking you, how is Chad? How is Chad doing? How is he doing? How we miss Chad. That is the stature of the man. But it goes beyond that. Even though ambassadors respect Chad, even though heads of government respect Chad, everybody knows that Chad has remained grounded. Chad has not allowed the fact that he mixes with all of these big shots to go to his head. Chad remains grounded. Chad knows from whence he came. Chad remains somebody that you can relate to. Chad remains somebody that little children like, that young people like, that the children of some of these same ambassadors can go up to. I have witnessed it with my own eyes. That is the kind of man you want to represent you in the House of Assembly. Before I say a little bit about what we've done in labor and for the workers of St. James North, I have been thinking about something that, there are a few Dems in St. James North. There are not a lot, but there are a few. And I have been a little bit hard on the Dems. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you tonight, and I'm not saying this too hard, but I've met some Dems who have said to me, you sound as though you're cursing all the Dems. But just like you, we don't like the leaders either. We are going to vote for Chad. So when you get on the platform, when you are getting a little bit rough, and they told me to tell Kerry too, when you are getting a little bit rough, say the leadership of the Democratic Labour Party. We don't want you to curse us when you curse them. And they remind me, the few Dems in St. James North, remind me that some of them told me that they were happy that the Barbados Labour Party formed the government during COVID. They told me that if the Dems were in office during COVID, Barbados would be a graveyard. The entire country would be a graveyard. They were happy. Not the Dems leadership, but the few Dems that have some sense in St. James North are happy that the Labour Party was in office during COVID. I committed to sharing it with you. I'm not giving you no instructions. I'm not telling you who to tell off, but I'm just letting you know that. But ladies and gentlemen, the Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a member of, the Barbados Labour Party whose youth arm Chad Blackman led when he was but a younger man, that Barbados Labour Party has worked hard for the workers of Sion Hill and the workers of Westmoreland and the workers of Upper Carrollton and Bakers and all of St. James North. The Barbados Labour Party recognizes that there are a lot of people in St. James North who work in the hotel sector. A lot of people in this constituency work in hotels all across Barbados, not only in St. James. Some work in Christchurch, some work in St. Peter. The Barbados Labour Party, the party that Chad Blackman represents, went to Parliament and introduced a bill into Parliament, the Labour Clauses Concessions Bill. That bill is now law. That bill set the stage to allow us to say to all employers in the hotel sector that there is a minimum below which you cannot go in treating to your workers. The people from Lower Carrollton and Upper Carrollton and Sion Hill, those who work in your establishment, you cannot pay them below a certain amount. You cannot treat them below a certain standard. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you would think that that is a good thing. I hope you believe that that is a good thing. But I want to tell you that in Parliament, when we were debating that bill, one person spoke against the bill. The Democratic Labour Party spoke about all kinds of deficiencies in the bill, not wanting to have established in this country a minimum standard below which the people of Sion Hill and Upper Carrollton can be treated and a level at which they can be paid. That is the Democratic Labour Party that is coming to you and asking you for support. A Democratic Labour Party that used to say that it likes workers, but every which way you look in Barbados today, anti-worker, supporting big business. The Barbados Labour Party is a real Labour Party. It is a party that is fully behind the workers of this country. This is the same party, the party that Chad Blackman is a part of, the party that Chad Blackman has served in the cabinet of this country, is the party that has established for those in St. James North who work in construction. The Barbados Labour Party established a minimum set of wages, a minimum level of wages, and minimum terms and conditions below which the workers in construction who live in St. James North cannot be treated if they have contracts with the government of this country. We believe, ladies and gentlemen, that if your taxpayers' dollars are going to a contract that is awarded to a company in this country, then that company has to be held to a standard. It cannot treat its workers below a certain standard. That is the Barbados Labour Party in office today. That is the Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a member of. That is the Barbados Labour Party that is supporting the workers of this country, the workers of St. James North, the workers in Sion Hill and Upper Carrollton and Westmoreland and Bakers. That is the party that Chad Blackman is a part of. This Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen, didn't stop with those things. Do you know that the Democratic Labour Party, while in office, cut the reverse tax credit? You know who benefits from the reverse tax credit? Poor people. Poor people benefit from the reverse tax credit. The Democratic Labour Party cut the reverse tax credit. Does not care about poor people in this country. Does not care about poor people in this country. The Democratic Labour Party, despicable bunch, does not care about poor people. In office, almost as soon as we came to office, the Barbados Labour Party restored the reverse tax credit. All of it. The Barbados Labour Party, after the Dems, you know, most of those people who were in government could not have gotten a degree if they had to pay the tuition or if the parents had to pay the tuition. But the Democratic Labour Party believes in climbing up a ladder and then kicking it down. The Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a part of came into office and said, we cannot have a situation where only rich people, the children of rich people, can get degrees. Poor people, ordinary people in Sion Hill and Westmoreland must be able to go to the university and get a degree. That is the Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a member of. The public officers in St. James North did not receive a pay increase for 8 years under the Democratic Labour Party. No pay increase. The Barbados Labour Party came into office within months, a pay increase for the workers in the public service. And since then, two or three other pay increases. The Barbados Labour Party, the party that Chad Blackman is a member of, believes in the dignity of work and the dignity of the workers of this country. The Barbados Labour Party is the party that believes that workers must be supported. That is why in 2021, in the middle of a pandemic, when we recognize that workers were being impacted, we are sensitive to the plight of the working people of this country. We recognize that workers were being impacted. And even though we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic, even though we spent a lot of money paying for vaccines, even though we had to spend a lot of money building Harrison Point so that it could become a hospital, do you know what would have happened if we had to put everybody who was infected by COVID in the QEH? Do you know what would have happened? But we recognize that we had to do something so that Barbadian workers could eat. And as we say in St. James North and in St. Peter, that they could keep body and soul together. And we established a national minimum wage for the first time in Barbados in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, we expect that by the middle of this year, we will be able to see the people of St. James North, the workers, will be able to enjoy an increase in the national minimum wage of this country. We are the party of the workers. We are the party of the working people of this country. Chad Blackman, the one who you have a choice to support. And let me say something. The ballot paper on May 21st will have more than one name. It will have more than one name. There will be the name of Chad Blackman on top. The rest of the names really can't make up one. So when you hear somebody from the platform up here says that there's only one name, it is because when you look at the rest, they can't make one. But there will be other names, so I don't want you to go to the polls thinking that the ballot paper only got on one name. But the Chad Blackman, the name you will see at the top of the ballot paper, is the name of a man who, in spite of his youth, is very experienced. In spite of his youth, is a mature man. In spite of his youth, is a man who has achieved much. That man, Chad Blackman, is a man who, though he has walked with kings and presidents and prime ministers, he has not lost the common touch. He is able to talk with you. He is able to interact with you. He is able to sit down and eat with you. He is able to drink with you. He is able to talk to your children. He is able to talk to the old ladies and the old gentlemen. Chad Blackman is the real deal. Chad Blackman is the one who deserves your support, and more than your support, he deserves your vote on May the 21st. I ask you, come out in your numbers on May the 21st. Support the big man with the big plan, with the big vision, the one who will represent you well in the House of Assembly of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I commend to you the big man, Chad Blackman. Good night. God bless you all.